My experience has been is that it seems to be one of Central Illinois' best kept secrets. So do allow me to tell you about it and why we're here. The mission of the Dirksen Congressional Center is to enhance the public's understanding of Congress, its people, and its policies. And we do that primarily by maintaining congressional papers collections that serve as primary source documents for historians, political scientists, scholarly researchers, and biographers who are using those documents to tell the American story, and more specifically to tell the story about how our government, the legislative branch, operates in the United States. So, for example, we maintain the congressional papers collections of former Congressman and Secretary of Transportation Ray LaHood. We maintain the papers of former Minority Leader, House Minority Leader, that is, Bob Michael.
Sure.
And of course, we have the papers of former Senate Minority Leader Everett Dirksen, who was born and raised in Pekin. These are all names that your listeners are hopefully very familiar with, even if they're not familiar with the Dirksen Congressional Center. But that is who we are and what we do. I am pleased to share with you, not in great detail, but I will tell you that the center is about to acquire 3 new congressional papers collections all at the same time, which will be unprecedented in the center's history, and we'll be excited to tell the public more about that in the coming month.
Tiffany, when you say the papers, somebody listening to this might think, oh, well, what is that about? I mean, these are paper, the letters, they're the bills. What are the papers?
It's all of it. It's all of the documentation that is produced in congressional offices, whether it be in Washington, D.C. or here in the district. So, notes pertaining to legislation that was introduced, meetings that were held, constituent services, issues, speeches, press releases, all of it.
You know, the Peoria Magazine, which I write occasionally for, a past issue had a great picture in there of Everett Dirksen, a picture I'd never seen. And is that another thing? Does your center also contain pictures?
And that's one of my favorites of the collection. You can just get lost in it for days because, that is, for me, where a member of Congress's life and legacy starts to really become animated.
Tell us a little bit about Everett Dirksen, because I'm thinking he's been gone a while. What's your take on Everett Dirksen? Do you have an elevator speech on Everett, that what he contributed or what he did, or how does that work?
Well, Steve, I don't have an elevator speech on anything because
we have a very slow elevator here.
I struggle to be concise in my descriptions and storytelling, particularly on somebody like Everett Dirksen, because he was just so larger than life. But to take a stab at it, I would assert that Dirksen represents one of our most highly idealized depictions of the American dream. This is a person who was born of no significance and died of great significance, mainly through hard work, perseverance, good character, and great perspective. He was the son of first-generation immigrants. His mother was not once but twice widowed and was left to raise 5 boys here in Pekin, all by herself in the early 1900s. And despite those challenges, Dirksen has absolutely nothing but good things to say about his childhood. And so he never lost sight of where he came from, and I think that played a significant role in his success, and something that I think that we should pay attention to when we're looking at leaders yet today. His life and legacy also offer us positive lessons about leadership, civility, the importance of genuine relationships and the power of the spoken word to advance strong principles and healthy discourse. That's something that most of us are very hungry for today.
Talking with Tiffany White, the executive director of the Dirksen Center. And are there any like it? Are there others around the country? Places where you can store papers and all that stuff?
Well, there are other institutions, certainly, that maintain congressional papers collections. Many of them are either a part of a university or affiliated with a university, but actually the Dirksen Center, to my knowledge, is the only organization of its kind in the country, in that it is a standalone institution. It is independent. This is what we do, and this is what we're good at, and we have a reputation of doing this well, because it's not just that we collect the papers, but the archival process is unique, it is complicated, and one of the things that I hear from researchers often is that the way in which our collections are organized is just world class. And that makes a huge difference to the audience that we serve.
You know, you mentioned nonpartisan, and I can tell you that having talked to an author, John Farrell, recently, who wrote a book about Ted Kennedy that just came out not too long ago, and he, when we concluded the interview, he said, "I want to do a shout out to the Dirksen Center." I mean, I didn't know any of this. And he said, yeah, they were very helpful, and you got papers. And, of course, Dirksen's name is in this biography of Kennedy, the early times, obviously. But, that speaks to what you're talking about. Here's an author for, I guess out of New York or wherever he is. And did he come to Pekin and study it, or how did he get his information?
That's my understanding, and I have to admit that his research was before my time at the Dirksen Center, but it is not uncommon for researchers to come to Pekin from all over the country. I mean, this is our audience, and truly they're widespread. And you think about a figure like Dirksen, who not only served in a leadership position for a decade in the Senate, but his congressional career was a long one. I mean, he was elected in the early to mid 30s for the first time to the House of Representatives. This is during the Depression. He served in the House during World War II and was elected to the Senate in 1950 and was a major contributor to Voting Rights Acts and to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and even the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty of 1963. So for any scholar who wants to study all of the big issues that took place during that span of time, the Dirksen papers are a great place to go.